when
Okay.
I'm not supposed to talk.
This for both of you. Why did you become authors?
I used to be an artist. My mother was a painter. I spent my whole life thinking I was going to draw. That's how I wanted to tell stories. At first, comic books or maybe be a book illustrator. And then when I grew up a little bit, I realized that I wasn't very good at drawing. But I still really wanted to tell stories. And so I actually had to learn reading and writing kind of from scratch when I was out of high school. I had to go back and read all the books that I skipped in school. And I spent all this time kind of teaching myself to write when I had ignored that. Because really, always what I wanted to do was tell stories, and that was the best way to do it. So. And Tom?
Yeah, for me, I don't know if you know that I have Asperger's. The word part of my brain never turns off. The words are coming out constantly. So I've either got to be talking, or writing, or going crazy, right? So for 27 years or so, all I did was just talk all the time, drove everybody crazy. And then finally I realized I could start writing stuff down to let some of the words out.
Okay. This for both of you again, do you outline your books?
I do a small amount of outlining. Often I just, for mine, each character is going to get a different chapter. I write down each kid's name and basic theme of their chapter. But that's about it. I don't want to chain myself to anything. I want to be free to let things happen, because the best parts of my book are the things that happened while I was writing, not stuff that I knew about ahead of time.
I feel pretty much the same. I grew up, I used to write plays and screenplays, and for that they make you outline every second of it. And so when I started writing books, I actually tried to do the opposite. I let the outline happen, and subconsciously I think I outline. But I think the same thing Tom's saying, when you discover a new thing, your character walks into the room and they have a butter knife in their pocket, and you're like, why do they have that? I don't know, let's find out. And kind of chasing those little ideas is the best part of writing to me.
That's from that book you wrote, The Butter Knife Thief.
The Butter Knife Thief.
Yeah, that was great.
That one didn't, well, how many stars did Xander give it though? It
He
was
gave
like
that
6 out of
0.
10.
No, it was a 0
straight
star.
0.
Yeah.
It was...
He's one of those guys writing to Amazon. If I could only give it 0 stars, I would only give it 0.
The Butter Knife Thief.
He likes to spread things. Yeah.
Okay, how'd you come
Likes
up
to
with the
spread
character
things.
Peter Nimble?
What'd you say?
How'd you come up with Peter Nimble, like blind and...
Yeah, the idea of Peter Nimble for me, I started as an artist, like I said, and I always, every day I spend some time just doodling and drawing, and every story I've ever written started as a picture in one of my journals. So in the case of Peter Nimble, I drew a picture very close to the first image in the first chapter. I illustrated, did the interiors in this book. So it was, hang on, we'll find it. It was this picture right here, and it was a little baby floating in a basket with a raven perched on the edge that had just pecked out his eyes. And I literally just drew it, and I'm like, oh, gross. Oh, I wonder what happens next.
That was on a Mother's Day card. I
It was, I was giving it to your mother.
Thank you for my pet raven.
There you go. So the whole idea spun out of, I looked at the kid and I wanted to know more, and so I came up with the story.
Who made and folded Origami Yoda?
Me.
Cool.
Yeah, but now I'm not the first person to ever fold an Origami Yoda. There's a famous Japanese paper folder named Kawahara. He did the most famous Yoda before I even got started. But he's the one that inspired me to make my own version.
How about on your book covers? Like
Me. I do those. Except for Chewbacca. Because my Chewbacca was called Too Ugly by my publisher.
Not bitter about
This
that.
Chewbacca is very pretty. They
This is
cut
a
it
good
out and
Chewbacca. My wife made this Chewbacca.
Really?
She is I don't know if you know this, she's a children's book illustrator, graphic novelist. So, with that much talent around the house, there was no reason for me to have my ugly Chewbacca. So she made a good one for me.
Do you like origami, like yourself?
Hate origami. Hate Star Wars.
Hey kids.
No, I'm kidding. I've been doing Star Wars. I've been watching Star Wars forever. I've been doing origami forever. So the day that they came together, it was like...
Don't hate me, but I've never seen Star Wars.
I do hate it. Yeah. You just got a lost.
You just lost cred, man.
Now you only get 9 out of 10 stars.
He totally lost cred.
Okay.
Now you'll see it and you'll love it someday. When you're ready for it, you'll know.
Yeah, but get over the hype. Wait till you want to watch it, because otherwise you're gonna. I know that thing when everyone's like, "This is so great," and then finally I sit down, I'm like, "All right, show me you're great," and then it's never good. So you gotta wait till one day. Oh, it's so good though.
How do you guys come up with your book titles?
Tom?
Oh well, for me it can be an agonizing process. I knew I wanted the princess. I couldn't figure out what to call her, right? A perfect one would have been Princess Latte. But kids in middle school aren't walking around with lattes, at least not at school. So it took forever to figure out. And then when I realized a label maker, I realized that works with the story, you know? That's actually part of the story. It's not just a joke. It's actually the story. So it can be an agonizing process to try to figure out the title.
For me, they just kind of pop into my head. Yeah.
He's only got 2 titles.
I only got. I didn't have many times.
I've got like 20 books.
And why did you decide to call it "And His Fantastic Eyes"?
For me, okay, there's a reason for this. My favorite writer is Roald Dahl. And part of the reason I'm interested in thievery is because when I was about 12, I read a short story that he wrote that was called The Hitchhiker. The Hitchhiker is this great tale of this guy who's driving down the road and he sees an old man on the side of the road who wants a ride. So he pulls over, he lets the old man in, and they get to talking, and pretty soon we learn that the old man is actually what he calls a fingersmith, which is to say he is a world-class pickpocket, and he refers to himself as having fantastic fingers. And he's so good as a pickpocket that, like, he can be, like, smiling, talking to you, and next thing you know, he's, like, holding your keys, and then he's like, oh, that's so nice, and then he's, holding your wallet, and then, oh, that reminds me, now he's got your shoe. And the story is this really funny tale where they get pulled over by the cops, and this old man outsmarts all the police officers and robs them and tricks them. It's really funny. But I loved that phrase, fantastic fingers. So when I was writing a thief, that word was like the only word I could use to describe what Peter Nimble was, and sort of it came from that.
Okay, what was your inspiration for, like, the characters? Was it for real people or just people you completely made up?
It's totally real people for me. Almost all the characters are based on me, my friend, just people I knew.
That explains Captain Obnoxious EA, who's showing up.
Yes,
in the
yes.
next one.
You know, you don't read the books. If you
I've
read
only
the
read
books-
the first 2.
Yeah, you're in the books and you don't
Which
even
one?
know it. He doesn't even know it because he doesn't read my book. Yeah, you're in there. You're somebody's obnoxious boyfriend.
Am I serious?
Yeah, your name is John Auxier.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm totally serious.
That's 2 books I'm in. Awesome.
What else are you in?
I'm in
The Grinch Who Stole
Frankenstein.
Christmas? Oh, you're in Frankenstein.
Yeah. It's Auxier maple syrup from Canada.
Nice.
Yeah. So, are you dead serious about that?
Yeah, I am serious.
Oh my gosh, I feel like such a heel.
Yeah, you are.
Wow. I've read 2 of your books. That's the same number as you.
Yeah, I've read 2 of your books.
We're even. I'm not a total jerk. Shoot. Oh.
You know, my wife, Cece, she hasn't read them either.
What?
It's so hard we have these discussions, and I'm like, well, there's a scene in Princess Leia. I had to just like set the whole thing up for her. She's never read my books.
What?
No.
That's crazy.
She read some of them, but she hasn't read the whole thing.
It's a tall order. Reading all of them.
How long does it take you to write a book?
We have this. It's the exact same amount of time for both of us, I think.
Year and a half? Is that what you said?
No.
Oh. For me, it's about a year and a half.
I'm averaging. I wrote the first draft of Night Gardener 9 years ago, and have written at least a draft a year since then to get it out. And then Peter took me about 7 years. I'm learning to get faster so that we don't lose our house and have to live on the street. I'd like a little bit of Tom speed. Exactly. So I'm getting a little faster now, but.
What's this question? Why? Oh yeah.
What?
Why?
Sure. Thank you.
Why did you choose to write for like a middle grade audience?
For me, those are my favorite books. They were my favorite books when I was growing up. They're my favorite books now. When I was 11, I read Alice in Wonderland, and don't ask me why, but I became obsessed with that book, and I read it every night for about 12 years. So I've probably read that book over 100 times, and now I'm kind of sick of it. But there was something about the books that I was reading right when I was kind of your age that, like, I didn't just read them once, I'd read them over and over again. I still read them today. I think it's the best time of life because your mind is still so open to new ideas. You know, the older you get, kind of the more closed off you get. And I like books that take me back to a place of wonder and sense of humor. And yeah.
Why Star Wars?
It's Star Wars. But you haven't seen the movie, so
he
you don't.
doesn't know.
You don't know. You don't. After you've seen the movies, you'll be like, oh, that's why.
Are you working on any new books or projects?
I am writing the big finale book for the Origami Yoda series. It'll be out this summer. Got to do the drawing. Most of the writing is done, and got to do the drawings for it.
Do you know the title?
I do. I'm afraid I cannot tell you. It's top
That would have
secret.
been your blog would have gotten very popular if you could have gotten that out of it right then.
Title reveal. Title reveal.
I'm writing the. Actually, no one knows this. I'm writing the sequel to Peter Nimble right now. So
Wait, so what is night? Because it says
they're
like,
not
the
related. They're not.
follow-up,
They just mean that's a second book. So Peter is totally unrelated. It's its own story, and it's a complete story. And for a while I wasn't going to do a sequel because the Peter Nimble story is really.
But they are interconnected because of the bottles.
Because of reference to the bottles is made in Night Gardener.
Yes.
There's, I mean,
That's enough to put it in part of the same cosmology.
okay. Yeah.
The multiverse.
Yeah. The Night Gardener will be
Auxier-verse.
the Auxier, but that doesn't have any ring to it. I have a clunky old name. So I'm writing a sequel to Peter Nimble.
That was a long answer to. Are you writing a sequel to Peter Nimble?
Yeah, well, someone kept jumping in with.
Really?
So there are going to be 6 books in this series, or
6
7?
books plus the R2D2 craft book.
Do you count that as a book? Like, is
Well,
that...
I wanted to. I wanted to be a part of the series, but no one else wanted that. So it's sort of this extra book that floats around on the edges. And hopefully we will be doing another activity book down the road, because that was a lot of fun to do. That was also probably the most work I've ever done.
Because just so much drawing, or.
Yeah, it was a lot of work.
Do you have any, like, standalones, like Fake Mustache?
Got Fake Mustache, Horton Half Pot. Got this new the Quick Pick series. Couple picture books. I got all kinds of junk. I got a mountain of books that have never been published. You know, that don't meet the criteria. Even you would give them no stars. Even you, nice guy that you are, 0 out of 10 stars is what you would give them.
Oh, whoa.
I Knows Peter. That was one of my
I forgot
books.
to bring them over before. Okay, we're good for those. If you don't mind.
What are your favorite books?
Can we get this paperback?
Oh, I like Peter Pan.
So Tom and I have a long-standing fight because.
Sorry.
Wow. That.
He's taking calls in the middle of
I
an
hope it's
interview.
another
Look at
author.
that.
They can
It's
get
Xander.
in on this
Yeah.
Peter Pan
Yeah.
thing.
Somebody else's people.
One of my favorite books, perhaps the only perfect text in the Western canon, is a little book called Peter Pan, which Tom Angleberger hates with a burning passion that we have spent
0
many
out of
hours-
10 stars.
What?
So that's one of my all-time favorite
Oh, your
books.
favorite.
But I also last year I read a book that I read a couple books that blew my mind last year. That I couldn't shut up about, and one of them was written by a guy named Jerry Spinelli, who did Maniac McGee.
Was it Hokey Pokey?
It was hokey pokey.
I read it too.
Did you?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It was good. It was really good.
I really, really liked that book, and I got.
It made you think.
It really-
like the ending catches you off guard.
I really, really liked
Wow,
that.
that's one we all agree on.
Yeah, there we go.
I was in the school library journal Battle of the Books, and I chose that as that was the book I picked. That was a very good book.
That was one. Did you read Far, Far Away?
I didn't. Did you read it?
Oh, that was another great book last year. That was really.
And
really
Hokey
well.
Pokey was written, like the way it was written, like some of the chapters just had one word.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, that's interesting.
So one of my other favorite books, I talk about it at the end of The Night Gardener, is a book called Something Wicked This Way Comes, which is sort of the original evil circus story. It's written by a guy named Ray Bradbury, who wrote a lot of kind of fantasy, spooky fantasy, and some kind of science fiction. And that book was actually during a nightmare that I had, because my dad read that book to me, and it traumatized me, that I first had a vision of the character of the Night Gardener. And so I've been carrying that around with me for 20 years.
So the Night Gardener originated from a dream, not an illustration.
Well, in that case, the gardener originated from a dream, but the character Molly, the book, when I decided to start writing it, was because I all of a sudden had this picture I'd drawn of this redheaded girl who woke up and the windows are closed, but there's wind all over the room and there's leaves everywhere. And then I couldn't draw it, but I knew she could hear footsteps over her. And that kind of gave me a whole sense of the story.
So here's what I want to know. I mean, I appreciate you giving me 8 or 9 stars, but what's your 10-star book?
I don't think there's been one.
Really?
That's good. No, save that. I'm like that often, where I save the last one. And I'm like, the best thing will be just the next thing I
Mila
save.
2.0 was pretty bad.
That was up there?
It was, yeah, so good. I just need to read it.
Is it a series?
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
first book. In the
Oh, great.
series. I got an art for the second book.
Oh, nice. See, you're working it. You're getting. I love it.
Yep.
Are those all your questions?
Yep.
Awesome.
This has been fun.
This
I wish
was
people
fun.
would
Yeah.
interview us every time.
Yeah,
That's
that's nice
nice.
when I detox.
Well, people that have good questions, like Xander. Sometimes people interview you and they don't have good questions. So very good questions. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool,
Yeah.
man.
What does your shirt say?
It says, in Java talk, it says, "Let them behold my magnificence." Which is a Java sort of thing to say. Not the kind of thing I personally would go around saying.